Logan Paul and General Hospital both got their start on this date. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is April 1st, 2024. It is the 92nd day of the year. You got 274 days left. It is the 14th Monday, the 14th week, and the 14th day of spring. How about that? You got 81 days left until summer. Today is National Destroy a Friendship Day. On National Destroy a Friendship Day, you are encouraged to cut a friend out of a conversation, make moves on their spouse, spread rumors, and possibly engage in fisticuffs at a local mall. Just kidding, it's April Fool's Day. Don't do any of that stuff, even as an April Fool's joke. It'd be wrong. I'm not saying I've done any of them. All right, let's see what else April Fool's has given us. 1946, the Aleutian Islands. The Aleutian Island earthquake shakes the Aleutian Islands with a maximum Mercalli intensity of 6, which is considered strong. This is, I think, before the whole magnitude and Richter scale and all that stuff. A destructive tsunami reaches the Hawaiian Islands, resulting in dozens of deaths, mostly in Hilo, Hawaii. 1954, United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower authorizes the creation of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So I have a pretty much a soundproof room, somewhat soundproof, I should say. There's two things that get through the sound right now. Harleys, the Harley motorcycle just went by, and then after that, because it's that time of the year, I've got a pond behind my house and a bunch of geese are there, and whenever a loud car goes by, they just freak out, and the Harley's just setting them off right now. So I'm waiting. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but I can hear it. And if I could hear it in this room, it's pretty loud. All right. 1970, President Richard Nixon signs the Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act into law. This is kind of strange about Richard Nixon, which, everyone knows him as one of the worst presidents, not because of things he did for the country, like, give millionaires tax breaks or got rid of Medicaid or something. Like, he didn't do anything negative like that. It's just the whole Watergate thing put a stain on his legacy and it'll never recover. But sometimes you sit down and you're reading some of his accomplishments, he did some pretty good things for the United States. This is one of them. Letting people know that smoking is bad for you. Here's a few of the things that Richard Nixon did. In 1973, President Richard Nixon ended the draft, moving the United States to an all-volunteer force. It's this weird thing. They figured out when people don't want to be someplace and are forced to be someplace, they don't really have the motivation to fight a war. Nixon founded the Environmental Protection Agency in 1970 as a response to rising concerns over conservation and pollution. The agency oversaw the passage of the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Mammal Marine Protection Act. Nixon dedicated $100 million to begin the war on cancer, a campaign that led to the creation of the National Cancer Center, an antidote that helped fight the deadly disease. And we still have it to this day, but this was the beginning of actually trying to stop it. Nixon opened the door for women in collegiate sports when he signed Title IX in 1972, a civil rights law preventing gender bias at college and universities receiving federal aid. Nixon initiated and oversaw the peaceful desegregation of Southern schools. Yes, segregation was still a big thing in the 1970s. Nixon welcomed astronauts from Apollo 11 home safely from the moon and oversaw every successful moon landing while in office. He was a great proponent of the 26th Amendment. Nixon lowered the voting age from 21 to 18, extending the right to vote to America's youth. A very simple logic he had. If you can go to war and die for your country, you should be able to vote for it. Nixon authorized the joint work between the FBI and special task forces to effectively eliminate organized crime, resulting in over 2,500 convictions by 1973. Nixon became the first president to give Native Americans the right to tribal self-determination by ending the policy of enforcing assimilation and returning their sacred lands to them. Now, a lot of people will say he didn't do much and that it was the first step towards that, so he gets a little credit for it. I brought this up a couple years ago on this channel and I got a bunch of heat. Well, he didn't do enough. Well, he did something. Nobody else had done anything before him to help this movement. When it came to nuclear weapons, 1972, he was in the SALT talks with Soviet Secretary General Brezhnev. It was a great step during the Cold War. He signed the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. Nixon was the first president to visit the People's Republic of China, where he issued the Shanghai Communique, announcing a desire for open and normalized relations with China. He also signed the Paris Peace Treaty, ending the U.S. involvement in Vietnam War. There's a handful of other things he had done too. That's just some of the highlights of his time in office. 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak found Apple computers in a garage. 2004, Google launches its email service, Gmail. I may have told this before, but I'm telling it again. When I was working at Netflix, an older lady called and she was trying to find her account. She couldn't get into it, and I'm trying to help her get into her account. And I'm, okay, what's your email? And she said, Dorothy.Jones or whatever her name was at gmail.com. I'm all, gmail.com? What is gmail.com? I've never heard of that one. She's all, it's the one from Google. I'm all, do you mean Gmail? She's all, oh, is that what you call it? I've always called it Gmail. Premiered on April 1st, 1963, General Hospital. If you don't know, it is one of the longest running soap operas in American history. It is still going to this day. They've made over 15,000 episodes. It started off as only 30 minutes from 1963 to 1976, and then in 76 to 78, they went to 45 minutes and then had a 15-minute news break for local news. And then in 1978, they went to 60 minutes, and it's been that way since. Here are some of the stars that at one point played on General Hospital. John Stamos, James Franco, Rick Springfield, George Hamilton, Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, George Takei from Star Trek, Richard Simmons was on there, Meghan Markle was on there, Kristen Davis, Demi Moore, Eva Longoria, Ricky Martin, remember him? Elizabeth Taylor was on there. And that's about all the ones I could know of. I'm sure there's other ones that are, there's been thousands of people on there, but those are the big names I can come up with. Born on April 1st, 1995, Logan Paul. He is a YouTube, Instagram, he's a social media guy. He's huge. He's done some really good moves to make millions and millions of dollars. So he got famous, I think, on Vine originally, which is no longer a thing. Then he moved over to YouTube and TikTok and all that, and he's ultra popular. Then he starts this boxing thing. Now, a lot of people say it's fake. I kind of sometimes think it is. He's outboxing people. Usually they're retired fighters, like he's getting ready to fight Mike Tyson, which some think this may be his last birthday, because Mike Tyson, even though he's 57, might murder him. I was watching one of his fights against, he was a UFC guy, I forget his name now, but he hit Logan Paul hard, and I could tell Logan Paul was going down, and the guy reached in and almost held him up for a minute. And, they're like, we're holding each other. And I was like, that looks suspicious. And a lot of people say that these guys are just being paid to take a fall. Now, if it's an exhibition, they could do that. If it's a sanctioned fight, which I think some of them have been sanctioned, they can't do that. It's illegal. I'm not sure if this Mike Tyson one is an exhibition or a sanctioned fight. I've seen both, but we'll see. Regardless of all the things that he may be setting this up and it may be fake or whatever, you can't deny the people that have fought him have made millions of dollars, more than they did in like the UFC, or in Mike Tyson's case, more than he's made in a couple decades. What I find really interesting about his upcoming fight is it's on Netflix. If you got Netflix, you don't have to pay some pay-per-view thing. It's just on Netflix. I looked to see if Netflix was going to charge extra for it or something like that. I couldn't find anything, so I think it's just part of your subscription. Died on this day, 1984, we lost Marvin Gaye, soulful Motown icon who gained fame with the 1966 song, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. He released the influential concept album, What's Going On, in 1971. He dealt with his brutal abuse at the hands of his father while growing up with his 2 sisters and 3 brothers. He released the hit song Sexual Healing, which won a Grammy Award and was posthumously given the Grammy for a Lifetime Achievement Award. In the early afternoon of April 1st, 1984, Gaye intervened in a fight between his parents in the family's house in West Adams neighborhood of Los Angeles. He became involved in a physical altercation with his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., who shot Marvin Gaye twice, once in the chest, piercing his heart, and then another one into his shoulder. Marvin Gaye Sr. was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the charges were reduced to voluntary manslaughter following the diagnosis of a brain tumor. He was given a suspended 6-year sentence and probation. He died at a nursing home in 1998. Tragedy all around. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.